far less likely to attract a client that is on an opposite end of the spectrum, religiously or politically.
Sure.
Because they look at my content and they're like, wow, I don't like her at all. And they immediately walk away. And so there's a lot more incorporation at this point, whether you want there to be or not.
Mm-hmm. So, and you have a good point there. You have a good point. And I personally, I'm sort of the mindset of, I'm very transparent. So, what you see is what you get. And whether I'm, on the job or off the job, it's the same person. And so
that's the best way to be in business. You don't want surprises.
Yeah, people absolutely know what to expect, and I'm sometimes brutally honest, and I'm frighteningly brutally honest sometimes, to where you know exactly what I think, and there's no surprises there.
I think as a coach, that's something that you have to have, because they want to know that you're not afraid to tell them what to do, and you're not afraid to give them that hard feedback.
Sure,
so that's not a bad trait to have.
So, what is something that in your life you wish you had done earlier that maybe you didn't do, and now you know it's vitally important that you should have?
Deciding to actually lean into what I'm passionate about and what I want to do. For me, it was work hard, put my head down, go to school for ever and a day. Credentials to me are important. They're not as important as I thought they were initially, but early on, I thought they were very important. And so I went to school and I put my head down, worked these terrible 9-to-5 jobs. And then as I got older, it was, this is not what I want to do. I want to teach. I want to inspire. I want to motivate people. I wish I had stepped into it earlier. I wish I had said, this is what I'm passionate about, and just gone for it. I think people wait too long. And you have to start late.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that, because I started a lot of things maybe a little later than I should have, and so I kind of look at that the same way, that if I had done those sooner, I'd probably be further along than I am now, and not having to work as hard today to catch up for the years behind. That's sort of the thing. There is, it's easier and cheaper when you're younger. So
that's very true.
So I'd like to focus on you as a person for a little bit here, Tamara, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what hurdles have you personally faced when you're going into entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome those hurdles?
So going into entrepreneurship, like you said, being brand new was the transition from a 9-to-5 mentality and someone always providing that direction into I'm going to be self-led and no longer 9-to-5. There's a lot of days where I work from early in the morning until 1 a.m, like I did last night, when you have a different deadline. Being more self-motivated and really pushing myself to think outside of the box onto what I wanted to do. I think a lot of entrepreneurs face that value struggle. Is my family going to think that what I'm doing is worthwhile? Are they going to think that I'm crazy if I leave my job and start this brand new thing? Or a lot of coaches, for example, you're going to be a life coach? That's crazy. Who's going to hire you? What are you going to do? And I think that that's a real struggle when you don't get that close support from family and friends and the people in your little niche when you're venturing into something brand new.
Right.
It really puts a huge mindset, am I able to do this if my own family is laughing at the choice that I'm making? And I think that was a blessing for me, is that my spouse and my family have been very supportive. There's never been that you can't do this mentality,
right.
But I think it's pretty pervasive in a lot of the coaching communities and basic entrepreneurship. You're starting with this brand new thing. I think trying to find exactly what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be, clarifying my offerings, was a huge hurdle as well, because you have all these big ideas and you have all these things you want to do in the course of your business, but you have to pick one and you have to really work on just that one thing until it takes off, so that you're devoting that time and attention and consistency to it. And so figuring out what I was offering and consistently offering that has been and still kind of is a struggle for me. I want to offer so many things. And so learning how to dial back and focus on one thing is a struggle.
So with all of that you were just mentioning, was it obvious for you, or you just kind of stumble upon that?
No, I just kind of stumbled through a lot of it. And one thing that kind of helped to clear the way a little bit was I downloaded Audible, and I spend 45 minutes to an hour a day listening to ebooks while I'm driving to an appointment or while I'm going to take photos for a job or something of that nature.
Sure.
And so I'm routinely adding things to my skill set. And a lot of the books that I focus on are based on mindset. Let's see, How to Be a Badass. I'm reading Brand Story right now, which I highly recommend to anybody. But at least a book a week. And the mindset stuff that I'm learning and working on helps me to feel more confident in my offerings and what I'm doing, because I'm already confident in the skills piece of it. I think the mindset piece is where most people struggle. And so if you find a resource or a mentor or a tool, like in this case, it's a book. Mentor doesn't always have to be someone that you work with in person. Tony Robbins could be my mentor if I wanted him to be.
Sure.
I just read enough books and you do enough self-work that I think helps you to overcome them and set them. But you have to make it a priority in your life to do it.
Absolutely. And you're mentioning mentors. One person that I like to learn a lot from, and one of his philosophies is John Maxwell. And he's mentioned that one of his particular philosophies is to learn something new every day. And,
100%.
And that's something, when you were mentioning that I'm kind of thinking to myself is, when you have a lot of windshield time, are you spending it listening to talk radio that's useless, or listening to music, or are you actually listening to something that's going to help you grow professionally or personally? What are you spending your time doing? Because, especially here in North Texas, I can easily spend 1-2 hours each way to an appointment. And so, that's a lot of time that I could spend growing myself professionally, instead of, just, listening to, 80s rock bands or something.
100%.
Yeah. Not to age myself there. So
nothing wrong with 80s rock bands.
So when you were starting your own businesses, how did you get started? And maybe you can sort of talk me through that. What did that look like?
Well, I was pretty fortunate because I have a business degree. And so when I started out with my business plan, mapping out my target audience, where I was going to sell my product, what I was going to sell to people, how I was going to market it, the market research aspect of it. That blueprint, I think, is really important. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of map and know what I was offering.
Sure.
The problem is I wasn't sure what I was offering. And so initially I started with mindset coaching and limiting beliefs and talking about that, because my first degree was in counseling. And I thought that was the direction I wanted to go. Figured I could impact the most lives by helping people in that way.
Okay.
But the more I did it, the more I kept working through it, the more I kept talking to people about marketing and advertising. And the more I kept working them through very technical aspects of their business, like website creation and Facebook ads and when and how to post and things of that nature. So I had to kind of shift my offerings, and I had to shift my business in what I was offering to match what people were asking me for. And so instead, it turned into the more technical aspects behind your business. So you have a great idea. Let's create your website. Let's create your funnels. Let's create, your pages to help you get that idea out in front of people. And that was really kind of an eye-opening process, because then you have to reestablish. So you create this huge network based on, this is the person that I am, and this is what I'm going to be offering. And then your entire network sees you change your offering and sees you switch to something different.
Sure.
And so at that point, you're at a crux of losing the audience you had, because you're out of integrity. So they view you as this person and you're no longer this person. Doesn't mean you're not the same person. You're just offering something different. And so it was kind of a transition, I'm really into this, but this is what I'm starting to offer now. And so it was a very gradual, slow movement.
Sure.
And then I had to start over, because people that were then kind of prospects who are interested in mindset coaching with me or doing something like that were no longer in that running. And so then I had to shift and find all new clients for marketing and business and advertising. And that process in and of itself, that kind of starting over, was a big setback because you're going from ground zero with an existing client base and an existing fan base that you then have to convert to your new business.
Sure. Now, I'm kind of curious, what compelled you to become an entrepreneur? Because we hear statistics like 90% of businesses end up failing. So you kind of have to be a little bit crazy to become an entrepreneur. What compelled you to become one?
That is very true. So I wanted to have freedom in my time and freedom to make decisions for myself. Mm-hmm. Now, I love what I do. I love marketing. I love advertising. And I wanted to be able to provide it for more than just one person. If you're able to get great results for somebody, I didn't want to be tied to providing service for one company. I wanted to be able to provide that same great service and help tons of businesses as opposed to one. Mm-hmm. And so in my head, if I stayed just working for one company, I would never get to expand. I would never get to have that legacy I wanted to build. I couldn't impact as many lives as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I would always be able to kind of work on the side and help out friends and family. But if I didn't devote enough time and attention to it, I would never make the impact I wanted to have. I want to make an impact. I want to be able to give back to my community, my state, the world at large. I want to work with nonprofits. I want to help them grow. I want to help them expand.
Sure.
It has to be something bigger. And working, 9-hour, 10-hour days at a 9 to 5 didn't enable me to do that.
Right. So if something came along that forced you to stop doing what you're doing currently, what kind of profession would you think that you would like to attempt in its place? Or is there something?
I'm pretty fortunate that a lot of people really like marketing and advertising. Mm-hmm. And so I get to kind of chill where I'm at. I've always fallen back on bartending because it's a very people-oriented mm-hmm. profession. They make really good money. Don't let anyone lie to you. I would look for something probably in the construction trades, something administratively like project management, or I really like construction workers. I like people that work with their hands every day. That's what all of my family does. They're all welders and they build things. And I want to help people that build things. And so I think I would find some way to work in that capacity.
Oh, that's interesting. A lot of my family actually was from the construction direction, either carpentry or finished carpentry. So I can totally relate. And even one of my hobbies is woodworking, which is sort of strange for a money guy. But
I love woodworking. It's always something that I'd like to learn. I've never been. All of my family, it's steel. And so I was never one for that. I tried welding when I was very little. I didn't like it. I just never tried it again. But I like working with people that build.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say your greatest strength would be?
My ability to create relationship, I think, has been my greatest asset and my greatest strength moving forward. I was trained, like I said, as a counselor. And so I actually had a bit of a cheat because they teach you how to build rapport quickly, and you learn how to develop those conversational skills with people who are unable to communicate for themselves very well. And it's really served me throughout my careers and my professions. But even as a teenager, that's been a skill that I've had. And I bartended for several years. I'm a DJ on the weekends. I like things that let me talk to lots of people. And so communication has definitely been an asset and a strength for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So what would you say your greatest weakness would be then? Kind of flipping that over.
Following through on my plan. Mm-hmm. Like I said, finding and choosing one thing to focus on. And that